The 50-kilometre feast is a top-end dining experience serving a selection of the region's food. This 6-part mini-series journeys outside that experience to visit some of the producers and kitchens of territory icons. In today's episode, Pete and Fiona from Eva Valley Meats show us around the paddocks, and we check in with chef Justin Whitrow for a mouth-watering smoky brisket.
I'm Pete from Eva Valley Meats, and this is Fiona from Eva Valley Meats also, and we're local producers of territory beef. We produce a crossbred animal, predominantly Brahman cattle in the territory, and we introduced the centre pole bulls 8 years ago. We call them a centre bra, and they actually produce a good carcass. They've actually won carcass awards down south for their quality.
We have an on-farm abattoir and butcher shop, and we deliver that beef to Darwin 3 times a week into people's homes, supermarkets and restaurants. Every cut of beef that can be produced, we do produce, right down to chefs specifically ordering cuts to suit their style of cooking. So we produce an amazing brisket. Darwin have jumped on this and they're now smoking it, slow cooking it. It's the most beautiful cut because it has got so much fat on it. People can access our meat by purchasing directly from us online. They could purchase from independent supermarkets in Darwin, remote community stores, as well as some Darwin restaurants and cafes.
We don't stand back and think enough about what we have achieved. We wanted people to, eat what we were eating and taste what we were tasting. It does cook a bit differently than what you buy from Woolies or Coles, but it's got flavour. We're getting the beef better every year.
Are you proud of what you do, Peter?
I am proud of what I do. Proud to be a territory local producer.
We're definitely proud to be territory, and it makes us even more proud, again, the fact that there's so few, if any, of this type of facility in Australia. We can hold it to the rest of Australia and say, prove to me that your beef is what you say it is, because we can every day of the week.
Good morning guys, Justin Whitrow here from Smokey J's down at the beautiful Nightcliff foreshore just out the front of the beachfront hotel. Today we're going to get the opportunity to take you through the low and slow process we go through to cook this beautiful Eva Valley brisket. Okay, so this is a beautiful slab of brisket here we've got from Eva Valley. Beautiful Brahma type brisket, so it's obviously a little bit smaller than we'd expect from an Angus, but a beautiful, beautiful beefy flavour. We're just going to start giving it a little trim here, so whack it around the front here. You really want to get this whole little side bit off down here, like you can see. Get all the way through that. We essentially cut this little bit off here just so at the end result of it, you get a beautiful, nice, even slice the whole way around. Again, we'll just flick it around to the front here as well, guys. You can see it's a little bit untidy there. And now, as we get down to this big point end here, guys, we've got this little flab here that just sort of sits up. Now that does affect the aerodynamics of the smoking a little bit. We'll just get into that a little bit later after we trim it off. But we can just pretty easily go through, take that bit off there. And now you've got to consider, guys, in the smoker with the low and slow sort of smoker, we've got the smoke coming up and over the top here. So if you can get rid of any of these little lumps here, it just keeps it a beautiful, even cooking for that whole 10 hours. You can turn it over to the underside as well here, guys. And this is just a little tidy up here. Generally at the shop, we've got so many of these, we don't get the chance to clean up at the underside, but at home, we've got plenty of time, so we can give it a nice little tidy up. So there we have it, a nice, evenly trimmed, beautiful bit of Eva Valley brisket, ready to be seasoned up. So we keep ours to a traditional Texan style when we cook it, so that means our rub is just a salt and pepper mix. It's probably 50 salt, 50 pepper with a little bit of ground white pepper in there just for a bit of bite. And the key to this is to make sure we get a really even cover, because everyone always talks about the bark that we're looking for at the end of it. A lot of that has got to do with what we do now with how we season it. So as long as we make sure we get all of that covered. So it is important, guys, to make sure we get it all over the edges here too. We don't want to miss any surface of this brisket with the seasoning. We can even, so we don't waste all the stuff off here, we can grab it up and pat onto the side there. And then we turn it over and repeat the same process on the underside. We're not worried about the bark so much over here, but this is just to get the seasoning and flavour into it all. And now that one, we've seasoned that one across the whole thing. We've got a beautiful even coating of pepper there, which will crust up beautifully at the end to create that bark. And I reckon we've got a beautiful brisket ready to go into our smoker. So here we are, guys, back at Bertha with our beautiful trimmed up Eva Valley smoker ready to go in. We're lucky enough to have 2 shelves in ours, and with ours being a reverse flow smoker as well, our smoke comes up from this end here. That's where you want your nice fatty point end to face. Beautifully spread out right in the middle. Like we said before, that way the smoke will just go straight over it, up out there, and smoke it up beautifully. Now we'll leave that in there for about the next 8 to 10 hours, guys, at 250 Fahrenheit that temperature's at. Probably about 120 Celsius if you want to talk like that. And then in about 8-10 hours time, we should be ready to bring that out and rest it. So in here's one of the biggest secrets of what we do at Smokey J's that everyone forgets about, the wood. This is some beautiful seasoned iron bark from a local supplier that we get in. It's all seasoned, dry, ready to go, so there's absolutely no dirty smoke that comes off it. And then we just throw in a little bit of cherry wood just to finish it off with that beautiful bit of colour and sweetness. So there's a lot of the secret, and that's why we get away with just that salt and pepper on the meat, because all that flavour comes from this wooden smoker. We're back in, have another look at Bertha, guys. We're about 4 hours into the cook at the moment. We reckon that's about halfway through. We just grab our beautiful little spray bottle here. This is half apple juice, half apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of water. Just helps keep it a little bit moist as we're going. So at Smokey J's, our little trick with the brisket is we choose to boat it about halfway through the cooking. We find it just lets it cook in its own juices for the last little bit and really tender up right at the end there. So we've just got a bit of heavy duty alfoil here ready to go. Put our brisket in there. Just pulling up around the sides there to protect that point end like we've always said. But you still want to leave enough of it to show there so you get that beautiful bark that we're going for as well, guys. And now we just plonk that one back in there. Shut it back down again. And then we're about another 4 hours off to go and we should be all done. And here we are, guys, out of the smoker, the fully wrapped Eva Valley brisket. This has been resting in an esky for 2 hours. So as you can see, you can pick it up to touch, but it's beautiful and soft and jelly-like in there. Beautifully ready to be sliced and served up for you and all your mates. So we'll cut it down the middle here to split the flat from the point, guys. And as you can see there, guys, we've got a beautiful juicy point end there, beautiful smoke ring around the outside there. That'll make some beautiful burnt ends. And same down here, just a beautiful little slice there, beautiful and tender, and we'll slice that off to make some beautiful brisket slices. So there we go, guys. We've got to give it the bend test for the flat that everyone knows about, and that's beautiful there, just ready to go. Nearly falling apart, but not quite. Spot on. So what we like to do here, we give this quite a thick little cut there. Across there, into some nice little cubes. All we're going to do now is get some of our favourite barbecue sauce, drizzle some of that over at the end, and there we've got it, guys, our beautiful Eva Valley smoked brisket plate.
If you'd like to find out more about the 50-kilometre feast, head to our website.
We know the sun is coming up and the wind is coming in, and I'm drinking my wine. Oh, I'm resting in the clouds and just defeating all the doubt.